Okay, so today we're going to talk about something that's, well, notoriously painful. I'm talking about passing a kidney stone. We're going to break down what they are, why on earth they hurt so much, and most importantly, what you can do to hopefully never ever have to deal with one. To really set the stage for this, just read this quote. This is from someone who has been through childbirth 6 times and would rather do that all over again than deal with kidney stones. Wow. A comparison like that really makes you wonder, right?
So, is it really that bad? I mean, it's a fair question. Look, pain is always subjective, but the physical process behind a kidney stone, yeah, it explains why it has such an excruciating reputation. To really get it, we have to go back to the very beginning, how these things are even made.
So how does your body cook up one of these little crystals of misery? Well, it all starts with a pretty simple idea from chemistry, actually.
The whole thing boils down to this one word: supersaturation. This is what happens when your urine just gets overloaded with stuff, minerals and waste products like calcium, oxalate, and uric acid. There's just not enough liquid, not enough water to keep it all dissolved and flowing smoothly. And this is the perfect way to picture it. Imagine you're stirring salt into a glass of water. At first, it disappears, right? It just dissolves. But if you keep pouring it in, you'll hit a point where the water just can't take any more. The salt starts to pile up and clump together at the bottom. That is exactly what's happening inside your kidneys.
Now, not all stones are made of the same stuff. Check this out. The vast majority, we're talking about 80%, are made from something called calcium oxalate. But there are other kinds like uric acid stones, which you see there, and those are often tied to things like a high-protein diet. Figuring out which type of stone someone has is actually super important for preventing more of them down the road.
So, what puts you at risk? Well, the number one biggest factor, by far, is not drinking enough water. That leads right back to that supersaturation we just talked about. But your diet plays a massive role too, especially eating a lot of salt, which makes your body get rid of more calcium in your urine. Living in a hot climate where you sweat a lot, obesity, and even just your family history. It all can up your chances of forming a stone. A stone that's just sitting quietly inside your kidney might not cause any problems at all. You might not even know it's there. The real trouble, that legendary pain, all starts the moment it decides to make a move. And this right here is the heart of the problem. The ureter, that's the tiny little tube that goes from your kidney down to your bladder. It's only about 3 to 4 millimeters wide. I mean, it's tiny, but a stone that's causing problems, it can easily be 5 millimeters or bigger. So you see the issue right away. It's a big, sharp object trying to squeeze through a very, very small pipe. Think of it like a traffic jam. The stone gets lodged and blocks the flow of urine, so everything starts to back up. This literally stretches the kidney and the walls of the ureter, which are full of nerve endings. The body's response, the muscles in that tube start to spasm like crazy, trying to force the stone out. And that violent spasming is where that intense, wave-like pain comes from. And those spasms, well, they bring on this whole lovely list of symptoms. That crazy pain is called renal colic, and it's famous for coming and going in waves. It usually starts in your back or your side and can kind of radiate down towards your groin. And as that sharp little stone scrapes its way along, it can cause blood in the urine. The pain signals are so intense they can even make you feel nauseous and throw up. And worse, if an infection gets started behind that blockage, you can get a fever and chills. All right, so the stone is on the move, it's causing chaos. How in the world do you get it out? Well, sometimes you just wait. And this just goes to show you how much size matters. A really tiny stone, less than 2 millimeters, might pass in about 8 days. A medium one, maybe 2 to 4 millimeters, could take about 12 days. But once you get up to that 4 to 6 millimeter range, now you're looking at an average of 22 days. And even then, as it says here, about half the time, people need some medical help to get it out. So, what does that help look like? Well, for stones that are kind of borderline, there are medications that can relax the muscles in that ureter tube, just to make the passage a little bit smoother.
For bigger ones, there's a really common procedure called shockwave lithotripsy, where they use focused sound waves from outside your body to basically blast the stone into smaller pieces that you can pass. And for the really big or stubborn ones, doctors can do something called ureteroscopy, where they literally thread a tiny camera up to the stone to either snatch it with a little basket or zap it with a laser.
After hearing all of that, I am pretty sure you're wondering how to avoid this entire nightmare in the first place. And the good news is, prevention is actually pretty straightforward. I want you to look at this number. This right here, this is your single most powerful weapon in the fight against kidney stones. 2.5 liters. That comes out to about 10 8-ounce glasses a day. If you drink this much fluid, and yeah, water is best, every single day, it keeps your urine diluted. It stops that whole supersaturation thing from ever even starting. You're basically just washing away the building blocks of stones before they ever get a chance to form.
But it's not just about water. Your diet is a huge piece of the puzzle. Cutting back on salty foods is a big one. Limiting a lot of animal protein can help, especially with those uric acid stones. And if you tend to form the common calcium oxalate stones, you might want to watch out for foods super high in oxalates, like spinach or nuts. But here's an interesting twist. You don't want to cut out calcium. Getting enough calcium from your food is actually helpful because it can grab onto the oxalate in your intestines before it even gets to your kidneys.
And look, if you do get a kidney stone someday, you need to know you are so far from alone. Studies show that about 1 out of every 11 adults in the US will get one at some point in their life. It's an incredibly common problem.
So that brings us to the final thought here. The journey of a kidney stone is, without a doubt, agonizing, but the power to prevent it, that's actually in your hands for the most part. So the real question is, now that you know all this, what's one small change you can make today? Maybe just grabbing one extra glass of water right now to protect your kidneys tomorrow.